Welcome to Safeword by Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Notwithstanding what you're about to hear in the next 30 minutes or so, this is actually a business podcast. After all, it's made by the Fear and Greed team, responsible for Australia's most popular business podcast. But it's not called Safeword for nothing. Every week we pick a safe word. That means that we can bail out of the conversation at any time because it can get just a bit awkward, a bit messy sometimes. Every week, of course, I'm joined by my colleagues from Fear and Greed, Adam Lang, a man whose love of spreadsheets is surpassed only by his love of exercise, indoor runners, cavoodles, and being very, 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 very comprehensive. Adamski, good morning.
Good morning, Sean.
Michael Thompson, a man who likes to start campaigns that we all know are doomed to fail. He loves to complain. A man who considers himself an expert on a lot of things, though thus far he's provided very little detail to prove he's an expert on anything. Mickey T, good morning.
Good morning, Sean.
And I'm Sean Aylmer. I suppose I'm the ringmaster, really. I try to keep it all together, keep things moving along, make the others look good. That is not an easy task. In fact, it's a very tough gig. Now, as we usually do, let's start with some audience feedback. Mickey, have we got any?
Of course we do. Of course we do, Sean. And this one's come in via social media through our Fear and Greed channels on pretty much every kind of platform. And it comes from Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Quick update on what happened last week as well. Remember, we had an email from Kaz. And, of course, we disappeared down the rabbit hole of what Kaz is short for.
Yes. Did we find out?
Would you believe I emailed her back? No, I'm still assuming it was a her. I emailed her back and the email bounced back. So Kaz gave us a fake email address.
I hope it wasn't a fake review because it's a fantastic review.
Kaz? Oh, yeah. She had just started binging Safeword. Yeah. I'm sure it wouldn't be fake. I mean, who's going to take the time to do a fake? It was probably just a typo in the in her email address.
Yes.
But anyway, so the mystery of what Kaz is short for kind of dies here. Let's just all agree that it was Karen and move on. Anyway, Daniel is a new listener and he discovered us last week on Apple Podcasts. I'm a little bit hesitant to read out the rest of what he wrote because I don't really want to set a precedent here of letting other people choose our safe words. But Daniel wanted to propose a safe word for this week's program. And I might have already responded to him and said, yes, we could do that. So, look,
whoa, hold on. Who's in charge here, Adamski?
We're putting it in the hands of our audience.
That's right. Daniel has made the decision. And so we are kind of locked into what he has chosen. I should have asked him what the safe word was before I agreed. But anyway, the word is jelly. The safe word is jelly. I do apologize for it, but he gave us two choices.
And you chose jelly.
There's many things wrong with jelly as a safe word.
I chose jelly. The other option was congeal. Congeal just conjures up the most disgusting images, doesn't it? So out of the two, congeal and jelly, I think jelly is the less disgusting sounding word.
Oh, it's a close run thing, though.
But I have kind of committed us to. Hey, look, if you guys want to let Daniel down, then that's fine. If you want to disappoint people who have discovered Safeword and are new to it, that's okay. That's what you guys can do. But I think we go with jelly.
I'm happy with that.
I don't have an option really, and I like Daniel, so jelly's good, I think.
And look, in doing so, we might have now a rusted-on listener for life. Or Daniel could ditch us after a week and we've been stuck with jelly.
Did he actually did he just write in, Daniel, and say, hey, how about jelly for a safe word? Is there anything else?
No. So he said he was a new listener, that he discovered us on Apple Podcasts last week. So he'd only listened to one, maybe two episodes before. And he asked whether we ever accepted safe word proposals from listeners. And I said, again, I'm kind of getting myself in trouble here, but I said, yes, we do. What would you like us to use? And that was when he gave us the options of congeal or jelly. And look, I'm a man of my word. I'd already said yes, we would, expecting it to be something like, I don't know, tambourine.
You're a man of our word, apparently, Michael.
That's right. I'm prepared to make commitments on your behalf. And anyway, today's safe word is therefore, look, I'm happy if you want to make it congeal. I don't think Daniel cares whether it's congeal or jelly, but jelly is probably the...
No, jelly it is. Jelly it is. Thank you, Daniel, for that great feedback. Thanks, Michael, for encouraging Daniel so much. We like that. Can we get off this? In fact, jelly. Jelly.
Oh, you're safe wording it early. Go on.
No, I want to ask Adamski. He's been talking this week about work experience and work experience kids and things like that. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, Adamski, because just quietly, I know you might be looking for a job, but you're well beyond the work experience age.
Never too old to gain experience. Sean, did you do work experience at school, and what was it?
I worked at my local newspaper as a 16 or 15-year-old called the Central Western Daily in Orange, and from that moment I always knew I wanted to be a journalist. One of the best experiences of my life.
That is so cool. And Michael, what about you?
Yeah, very similar actually. NBN News in Lismore
Wow.
when I was, 16. It's pretty much the same story.
So my work experience,
Hold on, can we guess? Can we guess what your work
go on.
experience would have been as a 15 or 16-year-old? A young Adam. I want to be, as a 15, I really want to be an auditor.
Yeah, I reckon he was doing filing at an accounting firm and they just couldn't get rid of him. They said, Adam, you finished 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. So I did a week in a mechanics because I really wanted to know how cars worked.
No.
Yep.
Anyone, we have to put up a picture of Adam, right? Because he ain't no mechanic.
And can we just paint this picture?
Well, you don't look like one.
Adam Lang is the kind of person, and not just the kind of person, he is the person that wears dedicated, pure white runners indoors and changes into a slightly dirtier pair of white runners to go outdoors. Like, I cannot imagine any grease ever kind of appearing anywhere near you.
The fingernails are beautiful.
Oh, there's indoor runners for every occasion. And so, yep, that was week 1. Week 2 was in the record library of 96 FM in Perth, that then the number 1 radio station in the market. So I got very, very lucky.
Did you enjoy it? Which one did you like best?
I actually like the mechanics more. And I tell you why, the reason was, and this sort of goes to my broader topic, which is the way I was treated. So in the mechanics, I was brought in on everything. The owner of the shop gave me his manuals from when he went to technical college to learn how an internal combustion engine worked.
Yeah, okay.
Because you had instructions to follow.
Okay, We're starting to understand now.
I got my hands dirty fixing cars. I loved it. And then when I went to the radio station, I was pretty much making coffee and just doing photocopying and things. I thought, this is no good. But I eventually wangled my way into the commercial department in the music and into the music library and got to sort of draw on all the experience of radio station. I ended up loving that too. But I have to say the mechanics was the better experience. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever done this when you were responsible for leading teams, but have you ever thought to ask the work experience person what they think of your work environment?
Oh, God, no.
No.
The last thing you want is an outsider telling you.
And what about you, Michael?
No, but I do have a very good story about a work experience kid who did not know his place. And my God, it was uncomfortable. But carry on. You go, Adam.
Well, there is, I think, something that I learned to do was if you really want to know the culture of your work environment, ask the newest person, and indeed ask the work experience person what they see and really have a conversation with them around what it is that they see and perceive about your work environment, how people talk to each other, how they behave, what strikes them as usual and unusual. It's an incredibly valuable experience.
But surely the work experience kid is just going to be like, oh, yes, Mr. Lang, it's a lovely place to work. I like the biscuits, all that kind of thing. They're not going to be honest with you, are they?
It's possible, but if you can drill into it a bit and make them feel...
You mean interrogate a 16-year-old? That's what we're talking about here,
this is getting
isn't
good,
it?
yeah. If you could hammer the 16-year-old, making them feel totally safe, yes, go on.
Yes, and then get their impression of the culture of the place in particular. Like, literally how people interact and how that appears to others. Because the minute you start to get into like your week 1, week 2, week 3, you're already starting to acclimatize. You're starting to notice the way people dress and talk to each other and adapt that into some of your own behavior. So frequently, it's a really good exercise to do is to ask the newest person what they think of your workplace.
Have you done that, Adam?
Yeah, I have. I probably could have done it more. Really revelatory. Like it was things that strike them that didn't strike me, which was because I was acclimatized, was the way people talked to each other, or the way some people were louder than others and had different dispositions, and that was completely permitted. That you were able to embrace work in your own way was probably the best sort of feedback I got. And some people use different language to address each other, but as long as it's done within a range of behaviour, then it can work really well.
All right, there's two things that I need to address in this. The first is actually a gripe about work experience kids, and I'll be very interested to see if the two of you agree with me. Sean, when you were arranging your work experience at the Central Western Daily, did you pick up the phone yourself and ring up the Central Western Daily and ask?
I know where you're going. Yeah, did all the work myself. I actually wrote a letter, sent a resume in, went and met probably wasn't the editor, probably the editor's assistant or something, did all that.
Yep. Adam, I'm sure you probably would have done the same thing at the mechanics and at the radio station.
Yeah, the school was excellent. They basically gave you the contact, and then it was part of the process that you wrote, and they helped you write and apply and, tee it all up.
Well, I remember trying to psych myself up to make the phone call to NBN News, and I reckon it took me about 40 minutes of like almost dialing the number and then hanging up. I was so nervous about asking to go in. What is it with work experience kids these days? It is, I reckon 99 out of 100 times it is the parents now who are teeing it up, or they're doing it via email, in which case there is none of that fear. They're not actually working to earn that spot anymore. I think that's outrageous, and I'm actually starting a campaign right here to make work experience great again. And I think that kids should be denied work experience if they did not pick up the phone and ask it themselves. I want to hear kids trembling on the phone with fear.
But this is for their own good.
So I totally agree with you here, Mickey, because when I was at Fairfax, inevitably staff members would bring their own kids in, which I didn't really care too much about. But friends would say, hey, can my kid come and do some work with you? And I had this a woman called Jo Bradshaw who's absolutely spectacularly good, and she'd always look after them. But I used to get really quite annoyed when the kid didn't ring me. And I remember in one case, I actually said to the kid, you can come and do work experience at the Sydney Morning Herald, but you have to ring me. And I met him sort of out. He was, a friend of my son's. So, but you have to ring me. And if you ring me, you can do it. And he never rang me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I thought how easy his parents got in touch with me. And I said, no, get him to give me a ring. We'll sort it out. And he never rang me. You know the worst part of that story?
What?
That my EA, who was really good, overheard the conversation, reached out to the kid, and he still ended up in the organisation doing work experience.
No. Oh.
So he turns up and is like, what are you doing here? You didn't ring me. Yeah, no. But no, I totally take your point. You have to actually make the effort, because if someone rings you,
yes,
it's kind of like interviewing someone. If you're not sure, just ring them. They never get cranky at you for checking a story, in fact, they respect you a lot more if you actually make the effort.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And look, I think it's, it just shows that you're committed enough to it to go through. It's a pretty scary thing for like a 15 or a 16-year-old to be ringing a workplace asking to come in. And if they do that, then it shows that they actually really want to do it, rather than it just being something that the parents think would be good. But look, a slight kind of pivot. Sean, I want to tell you about an incident that we had this week, and I've been itching to tell you about this little mishap involving.
Dansky, watch out! He's talking to me. You're in
I'm
trouble.
feeling lined up already.
No. It's not. Well, actually, it is entirely about you. I shouldn't mislead you. We were adding a new admin to the Fear and Greed Twitter account this week, Sean, and it's been a while since we had any changes at the back end of our Twitter account, because really there's just a few of us that manage it, and it's been a long time since we've had to actually add anyone or take anyone away from kind of having kind of posting rights. So it sparked a bit of a search to see who actually held the main keys to the Twitter account, who's like the master admin, I suppose.
So I suppose it's 2 years old, is it, the Twitter account?
That's right. Unfortunately for all of us, it turns out that the holder of the master key to the Twitter account is Adam, which should not normally be a problem, usually. But remember, Adam is the person who did the following. Number one, he set up the Fear and Greed website using a yoga website template, meaning we offered yoga classes for about 6 weeks before anyone realized. He set up the Fear and Greed YouTube account, which instead of being called Fear and Greed was called Adam Lang. He put images of the three of us onto fearandgreed.com.au, and in doing so made my photo about, I suppose, the size of a postage stamp, yours about twice that, Sean, and then his own about 8 to 9 times larger, again, which may well have been deliberate. You can kind of understand why I was nervous when I found out that it was Adam's name that held the Twitter account. Unfortunately, Adam kind of demonstrated that I was right to be nervous, because
Again,
he tried to add a new admin to the account, and in doing so managed to lock the whole Twitter account. And even just to unlock his own access, he needed to supply his driver's license to Twitter to prove that he was over the age of 13, which he is by about
just snuck in there.
40 odd years.
About 40 years.
Yeah. So if you've noticed a bit of a gap in posts on the Fear and Greed Twitter account recently, it's because it got Adamed. Well and truly.
Adamed. I like that. So our social media was Adamed. Everyone will go, oh, yeah, I understand. Yep.
It actually took me back to a couple of years ago when we were first setting everything up, and Adam was just jumping straight in and said, yep, look, I'm setting up the Twitter account, I'm setting up the Facebook account, I'm setting up Instagram and all this. I'm like, I didn't know Adam knew all of this about how all these social media platforms work. Turns out he doesn't.
He doesn't.
But
just crashed my way through.
He gave it a solid crack. Adam, have you had any luck yet resolving the Twitter problem?
Yes,
have you been able to add Luke yet as an admin?
No, that's the end result.
We started it, yes. We ended it, no.
Yes, it's a work in progress. I thought the first success was just regaining control of our Twitter account, which, as you pointed out,
Baby steps.
I did manage to lose it for us somehow because I had to prove my identity again. But then I've been ongoing, shall we call them communications with Twitter support. Had an update some few hours ago. The message you're getting means that the current account you're using is not an advertiser account, and only they can use multi-user logins, or an administrator account. Now, I never changed the status of the thing. So what I'm going to, I suppose I could have by accident, but I'm going to fix it first before I remonstrate with the Twitter machinery.
Ring Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He knows a lot about it.
A new 9% shareholder. Yes. So we have got it back, which I think is great news. Not great news to have lost it in the first place, but it has been regained. And no, I'm not yet able to add our newish colleague Luke into the mix, but I'll get there.
I love that you're describing it as great news, fixing a problem that you caused yourself.
Oh, I didn't know I could cause the problem. That's something new. Fixing it, that's a win.
In Adam's defence, and he and I are of the same vintage, it's not always logical. I mean, you guys know I had some problems this week with my own home internet connection, which was causing problems in terms of fear and greed. At the end of the day, I had one of the cords plugged in wrong. Now, I had 6 phone
This
calls.
is self-reporting, Sean.
To TPG, who's my internet provider. All of them lovely. They were very, very polite. I had one NBN technician visit. I had one kind of rather vigorous conversation with one of those 6 conversations, rather vigorous with me. And eventually the woman said...
Sounds quite erotic.
So,
Jelly.
Jelly. Eventually the woman said, so is the blue cord out of the router plugged into the yellow plug? And I said, no. Funnily enough, the yellow cord out of the router is plugged into the yellow plug, and the blue cord out of the router is plugged into the blue NBN plug. Wouldn't that make sense? And she said, no. The blue goes into the yellow and the yellow goes into the blue. And I went, really? So I did it, and after 2 days of no internet whatsoever, it worked perfectly right. But this is my gripe.
Go on.
Why would you go blue to yellow? So this is actually from the modem and the NBN box. The NBN box is a little sort of, it's a black coloured box, and then the modem is white. Why would you go, the yellow one goes to the blue and the blue one goes into the yellow, rather than blue to blue, yellow to yellow?
Okay, so far we've had me complaining about work experience kids these days, Adam complaining about how hard Twitter is to use, you complaining about plugging cables into your modem. We sound like we have an average age of about 85.
The three technical stooges.
We are better than this. Collectively, we are better than this, surely.
All right. Sean, can I ask a question? Did at any time you swear during these processes?
No. To be honest, in the last couple of weeks, last weekend I went to my kid's football game, and he is a 19-year-old and he plays Colts football, which is whatever. They charged me $25 to get into the ground, and I was outraged because the Colts play before the grade games play. So, you know, I was there 3 hours before, and I had to pay $25 to get into the ground. My partner came. That was another $25. His grandparents, that's $15 each. So at this point, his mum came. So basically, it was $105 to watch one game of Colts rugby. And
that's extraordinary.
I was so cranky. I was swearing at that point. Then I realised I'm sort of swearing at a poor 21-year-old who's just doing her job. So she got the manager. The manager wasn't going to give in either.
You actually escalated it to the manager, your complaint?
Yes, absolutely. I said, I'm not going to pay all this money to watch a 1 hour game Colts rugby, which the sort of my 19-year-old son's playing, and I just didn't want to pay the money.
Oh, so you are one of those rare people that is very happy with a public confrontation. I am an absolute coward when it comes to kind of
kids
public.
ran though.
Oh, I am with you. I am with your kids. When my wife has gotten stuck into the staff at the Myer customer service desk,
slowly backed away.
I've disappeared into a rack of clothing behind her in order to disappear, to just kind of blend in with my surroundings. I am not one for public confrontations unless I feel really passionately about it.
Well, I was quite outraged, but what I did feel afterwards, 24 hours, maybe 48 hours afterwards, I thought, no matter how cranky I get, I shouldn't swear. So this is coming back to the original question, because I did swear at the manager, which was unfair. She was doing her job. And I think it's totally wrong what's going on. And I've written an email and, I'm on my high horse.
Campaigning.
Absolutely.
Hang on. So now you've written an email as well. So you are not letting this one lie.
No. If I want to watch my son play rugby, his family shouldn't have to pay $105. And especially after the fees we paid for him to play to begin with. I'm absolutely on my high horse here.
Well, why are you not calling for a new Safeword campaign? I campaign on everything from daylight saving time being consistent across the country right through to getting work experience kids to ring up for themselves. This should be a Safeword campaign. Make it free for I'm sorry, I've forgotten the rest of the story. I did kind of tune out for a little bit. What was that?
Yeah, no, look, that's right. Don't worry about it. I mean, I think most people have tuned out. My point of the whole story, by the way, in my email, I said, okay, here's an alternate pricing option, just so I'm not just complaining, right? But if you get in ahead of a certain time of the day, you should only have to pay a third price, and that way you're encouraging people to come and watch the earlier games and the younger kids play, etc. Anyway, my whole point of the story I'm trying to get to, which is taking a long... I feel like one of the two Ronnies here. The two Ronnies used to have these conversations, take forever.
Oh,
My
Sean,
point is, don't swear.
you are a very busy man. You have multiple businesses and jobs and things. What you have just described is really the hobby of someone who's been retired for about 20 years or so. I can't believe that you've then just followed up with an email and actually proposed an alternate pricing structure. You have just
Absolutely.
become my complaining hero. I'm so proud to say I work with you.
All right. Now, Sean, do you think it's ever okay to swear at work?
It's never really okay to swear, to be perfectly honest. I do, and I wish I didn't, as that example showed. And certainly in the workplace, no, I don't think it is. Do you, Adamski?
No. I have done it really rarely, but it's usually at a moment of very high exasperation.
I love the ooh in the background from Michael, who's worked with you closely for a long time. You say, I have done it occasionally, and Michael goes, ooh.
And Michael, what's your attitude towards swearing in the workplace?
Look, I feel like you're attempting to set me up here because I don't swear much. This feels like a very clumsy attempt.
Remember the swear jar?
No,
It overflowed after about 3 weeks with Michael, and so we just dumped it.
you asked whether I swear at work, and I don't consider this work because it is just such fun with the two of you.
That's it.
So there's a small technicality. But look, anyway, this all came about, and I suspect this is where you're heading with this, Adam, because it was a big discussion lately on LinkedIn, sparked by an article in the Wall Street Journal, where apparently the blurring of lines between remote work and office work has created kind of confusion over whether it's acceptable to swear at work in the same way you would if you're working kind of privately at home.
If you're talking to your kids.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
or in an email to a 21-year-old manager. Apparently, though, and this is completely unhelpful, the verdict is very non-committal. It doesn't actually make a decision either way. Apparently, it depends on factors like whether you're doing it in a formal meeting, whether your superiors are using kind of colourful language, and even whether you're doing it to complain, which I think is perfectly appropriate for you, Sean. But look, I reckon I have worked with some of the greatest swearers of all time. And Adam, you would have been the same. You're not one of them, but you would have worked with them as well. Some of the most colourful, most descriptive, most kind of
sometimes quite imaginative too.
That's right. The combination of words just mashed together in the heat of the moment is just sometimes it's actually it's art. But some of the best I've ever heard has actually just been in the office. Not all of it's acceptable, but in a 24/7 media environment, which this was, it was almost kind of tolerated, I suppose, as a consequence of it being a high pressure workplace. But no, look, I in that environment, I never actually really used to swear, though I'm very, very curious to know, Adam, having worked alongside you for quite some time, when it was in those 2 or 3 occasions that you swore, because I don't remember seeing it. And I saw some occasions when your patience would have been tested. You would have been just about at that limit. What was it that pushed you over the edge, and what did you say? Don't hold back.
Oh, it was definitely frustration, and it was the inability to resolve something. And usually, in fact, almost exclusively, that was interpersonal, meaning I couldn't get someone to see something the way I was seeing it. And it was definitely frustration, mostly at myself.
Some idiot like Michael. Come on, Michael.
No, it was mostly frustration at myself because you have to start there and figure out what it is that you're doing wrong or doing in a way that is not connecting with someone.
Oh, my favourite also is when you see swear words sent in a work email and you're like, I never knew that was how it was spelt. When you've had when you have people who creatively kind of come up with their own spellings of well-known swear words. Like
there's a slang dictionary, isn't there? If you ever need reference.
Yep. Urban Dictionary.
Like, is that even a word? And you go, oh, my word, it is.
Yep. And like
my heart's fluttering.
There are a number of words that end in wit. And
half wit.
Yes, yeah, those kind of
Yes.
ones and some kind of fruitier ones. But I've never seen them hyphenated before until
Oh, no, you don't hyphenate them, do you?
yes, but I have seen that in the workplace, which actually made it feel more formal when it was hyphenated. I'm like, okay, this person has taken the time
thought
to
about it.
hyphenate these words. Oh,
Was there something to you? Was it a message to you? Dear hyphenated wit?
yes, I've seen that. Yes, yeah.
Preceded with a dear, like a courtesy.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yours faithfully.
It does soften the blow a little bit, doesn't it? Like if you're going to do it if you're going to say dear, it just takes the edge off just a little bit. Like maybe it's a term of endearment. I mean, it's not, but it kind of feels a little bit softer, doesn't it?
There's an optimist. Oh, dear. Thank you both very much. Now,
Oh, yeah.
can I move on to something else?
Please.
There's a campaign. You guys know that I have, and some listeners will know that I have some life quests: taxation reform, federalisation. But there's also one that's probably a little more relatable to everyone. Not that those topics aren't, but this one to me is the aspiration of, in my lifetime, getting to a 4-day working week. Now, technically, everyone's employment's up to themselves, right? They can determine this, but I haven't quite managed to get there yet, and it is one of my life quests.
As opposed to your current Fear and Greed workday of 5 half days, you want 4 full days.
I don't think you've really thought this one through, Adam. Would you like me to jelly you?
No, thank you.
No.
I'll jelly myself when I'm good and ready,
Oh,
so to speak. To speak.
yes. Sean.
Oh, jelly.
Back to the 4-day working week. So
Yes.
California is seeking, I think, to inspire the world, and they're putting it through their legislature to vote for big companies to have a 4-day working week. That is a 32-hour working week. Now, it probably won't get up, but I thought, how good is it they're even getting that far with the discussion? Michael, what do you reckon?
Sorry. I'm still just preoccupied with the thought of you jellying yourself there, Adam.
You can actually hear my self-recognition of the statement as it was going out,
I
not
know.
before.
Yep.
It's like,
Beautiful.
oh, God.
Look, my issue with the 4-day working week is that the expectation from the company will still be that you have a job to do, and if they don't adjust their expectation of the output, then you're going to have to create more into 4 days. So I don't see practically how it works.
Very true.
But there are a lot of, for years, nursing, for example, in some places, you can do 4 10-hour shifts a week. So it is actually a 4-day week, but it's still 40 hours. And I'm all for that. I would love to work 4 10-hour days. I think that'd be great. I mean, you work 10 hours a day anyway, so why not just make it formal? I'll tell you what, I reckon there'll be lots of women coming back to the office and who would have something to, like, post-maternity leave or paternity leave, whom I reckon work a hell of a lot more than they get paid for. I'd like to hear their view on something like this, because many of those people probably get paid for 20 hours a week and do 30 anyway.
And if you have any thoughts on that, go to fearandgreed.com.au and send us through your safe word suggestions like Daniel did.
Oh, jelly.
Also the 4-day working week.
Oh, that too.
I think it's a campaign that, Michael, to your point, we at Safeword can start advocating.
Hang on. Okay, look, I consider myself the
You're the arbiter.
of campaigns, and I don't want to spread us too thin. Which, to continue your jelly analogy, I don't think we should be campaigning on too many separate issues at once. So look, if we're campaigning on work experience kids calling up for themselves, campaigning on, what was your campaign again, Sean?
Free attendance for family members to amateur rugby.
Amateur rugby, yep.
I mean, that's a pretty niche campaign, that one is.
It affects 100 of us. That's okay, globally.
Okay. Well, look, you can run that as your hobby campaign.
Start.
And
Yeah.
and okay, look, Adam, I'm going to approve your 4-day working week campaign.
Oh, that's generous of you.
Don't need the attitude there, Sean. I will jelly you.
I think its time is coming. I really do. I think people will start to look at balance beyond the 5-day working week. I think that balance is starting to change. Really interesting times.
Really interesting times.
You know how we're nearly out of time?
Yeah.
Can I suggest something for you guys to go and watch for the next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how I'm a big fan of free-to-air TV.
Yeah.
I am the last surviving fan of free-to-air TV. Lego Masters. Do you watch it?
Right.
Hmm.
I have watched it. I haven't watched, because it just started again this week. I haven't watched this one.
Yeah, new season. You haven't watched it. And Sean, you sound like you're a bit kind of
I find it
judgmental.
really hard. My kids watch it, and I just don't like it.
I've forgotten that you don't like fun. No, that's fine.
Don't like Lego. I mean, I cry at The Voice, which is on an alternate channel at the same time, and MasterChef is on the other free-to-air, and I can't watch MasterChef, never have done. The Voice just makes me cry.
In a good way?
And Lego Masters, too contrived. Oh, yeah, totally. These stories of these kids who've had hardship and the mum or dad or grandpa are up there crying as they're singing in The Voice, and it's just touches the heartstrings.
It's a very well-produced show.
Hang on. But you just said that Lego Masters was too contrived. And here we have the manufactured sob stories of The Voice.
Yeah.
And you're
No,
sobbing.
fair point. Yeah.
Oh, this is outrageous.
It's just my type of manufactured story, that's all. Oh, so you're saying Lego Masters?
Yes, go and watch it. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound so snappy, but yes, go and watch it, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Hamish Blake's really good, actually. So I'll give that a go.
Yeah, what's that? Okay, so we're going to talk TV today, a streaming one, Girl from Plainville. It's a drama miniseries on Stan, I believe. Fantastic. That's my recommendation. We are out of time, so I think we're going to have to call it a day. Thank you very much for listening to Safeword by Fear and Greed. Mickey, thanks for joining us this morning, your contribution.
Oh, thank you, Sean. Feels like you're being a little bit sarcastic there, but thanks anyway.
Just a touch. Adamski, a man after my own heart. Great to have you on board chatting today.
Thank you, Sean.
Ugh.
That was Safeword by Fear and Greed. Don't forget to hit follow on Safeword so you get a new episode every week. Tell your friends, your family, your colleagues, your mates at the rugby club, everyone, any work experience kid that you might come across. Daniel, we expect you, the Safeword contributor today, Jelly. Daniel, we expect you to bring 10 people on board for next week. Let's hope so. I'm Sean Aylmer. Have a great day.